Okay, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Happy Tuesday, Monday. Happy Monday. Hope everyone had an incredible weekend. Sorry yesterday for the technical difficulties. I had a major, to solve this big issue required a real technical intervention. I had to turn off my computer and put it back on again. It's amazing how that happens, right? The solution to our problem sometimes is just turning it off and putting it right back on. So I think we're good now. Andy, you'll let me know if we are good. And sorry yesterday for the complications. We were talking about this concept, this tension between being a giver, an unconditional giver, and being taken advantage of. And where we ended off yesterday was this concept that there really are two levels of giving. Well, there's multiple levels of giving. And when I say levels, there's hundreds of sub-levels in between each major level. But giving is a great thing no matter what. But there's giving that's really an exchanging. I'm giving to you, and in a way exchanging for something that you have from me. When you see somebody dating, most of the time, if not all the time, when they're in the world of dating, they're not really giving, they're exchanging. They're exchanging feelings, they're exchanging actions for words and words for actions. It's an exchangement that's taking place. It's just taking place through the platform of giving. And this takes place a lot. It takes place in negotiations all the time. When people sit down to do business, they're giving. I'm going to give you this, and you'll give me this, and I'll give you this, and you'll give me this. And I'm going to take care of this for you, and it's going to be done at this time, and it's going to be a nice bathroom, and I'm going to put this in, and put this in, and put this in, and you're going to give me money, right? It's an exchanging. So the giving really is an exchanging. And as life goes on, we do this sometimes. We get used to getting something back in return, so we're really exchanging the gifts. Transactional relationships, very good. Now, when you're living in a world of transactional relationships, you seem to count. You ever hear a friend say, well, he didn't come to my thing. He didn't get me something on my birthday. When it was my turn, he wasn't there. When you hear that language, what you're in is a transactional relationship. We were friends until you didn't show up to my thing. And because you didn't show up to my thing, then we must not be friends. Because that's how you show me that you're in this relationship, is I'm giving to you, you're giving to me. It's only fair. But these are words, like it's only fair. By the way, this is totally fine to live life this way. I'm not knocking this. What I'm saying is that that's not the highest level of giving. The highest level of giving is giving because you recognize that the greatest thing you can do in this world is giving. Being a giver is the highest use of your life. The highest use of your resources and of your energies and of your breath and of your time is stepping into the role of being a giver. Yesterday, for those people that are football fans, was wild card weekend. So it was amazing for those who are paying attention, and for those, especially for those who are, I would say, middle age, like I am. What's happening next week is the first time ever 2 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks are playing against each other, Tom Brady and Drew Brees, which in the world of football is insane, because football usually is a sport dominated by, people in their mid-20s. How does somebody last? This is a quarterback. He's not being a kicker, right? He's a quarterback. He is a target at every single play. How does people last? How do people last in their 40s playing a sport? And the answer is because there's nothing else they'd rather be doing. The obsession that Tom Brady has with football means I don't care what I have to do. The greatest use of my time, the greatest use of my life is football. So I'm going to try to hold on as long as possible. If you know anything about Tom Brady, you know that that's exactly how he lives his life. He lives and breathes, right, 24/7, 365 days a year football. And so as a result, he's able to play football at a high level. The greatest use of our life is giving. We know it because that's when we feel like we're hitting it. When we are in the mode of giving, we feel different than we're in the mode of taking. So if all I have around me are transactional relationships, I'm not really living my fullest. Because my fullest is being a Pro Bowler at giving. In fact, what I should be doing my whole life is perfecting the trait of giving. That's my purpose. That's the stance that I stand in which the details flow through. That's how I connect most closely with my Creator. And when I'm living at a level of all I really have are transactional relationships, I'm not really in the place of where I am living at my highest. So if you're living with a few friends and all of the friends around you are really just transactional friends, you feel it. You don't feel it when you distract yourself. You don't feel it when you're having fun. But you feel it. You feel it for sure. If you're in a relationship and it's transactional, you feel it. Relationship with your family, kids and parents have descended to where it's just transactional. You feel it. I had someone tell me that, their parent would give gifts to their children. And as soon as they give a gift, they would expect at least the thank you in return, which is okay, but you feel it. That the gifting is done to receive. And so at least the beginning for us to draw distinctions is critical. Before we make moves and changes, if we want to be experts at giving, if we want to be proficient at giving, if we want to be world-class givers, we have to at least get the distinctions down. Got to at least know what's what so we can navigate the world and appreciate and recognize it. Then these people I'm not in any relationship with, I don't even know them. These people I'm in a transactional relationship with, which is okay. And these people I'm in an unconditional relationship with. And just the ability to understand the difference is critical, because how else are we going to grow? But really, we're not going to grow at this until we start to digest the fact that for me, I need to be a giver. Not for them. I don't need to give for you. It's not that I have and you need. So I'm being nice in the exchanging of what I have to what you need. The idea of giving isn't like, fine, I'm okay just sitting here saying nothing. But I guess because I heard the boost, I should really call my teacher. I'm not hooking up my teacher. It just looks like it. What I'm really doing is I'm actually hooking up myself. The giving really is the building of myself into being the person that's going to live the greatest life possible. Because the greatest life that I can live is a way in which I can figure out how to be giving without ruining myself. The greatest life that I can give is to figure out how I can spend my day giving without getting taken advantage of. But I can't get there until I first start to realize that I want to be giving all day. When you ask someone the question of how do you give without being taken advantage of, it comes from two different places. Either it comes from, well, I don't want to be taken advantage of, but I should give, versus I want to be giving all day. I'd love to give everything away. I'd love to be helping people all day. I'd love to spend but I need to be mindful that can't possibly be the case in the physical world. But what would I want to be doing is I'd want to be waking up in the morning and just seeing around who I can give. That's a totally different stance. Do you see the difference between the person who's like, well, I'll give you the dollar, but like, I don't know. I don't want to be taken advantage of, versus I'm giving money away. And now I got to figure out, like, how can I give in the right way? But I got to keep on giving, because giving is where I become who I'm supposed to be. Giving is what I believe is going to get me more. I believe that if I'm giving my words properly, I'll have more insights and more wisdom. I believe if I be able to give charity properly, I'll be able to make more money. I believe that if I'm in the stance. Now, there is a concept that I don't like taking to from God, but let's leave that to the side. But like, you can't solve the equation of giving versus taking advantage of if you're not sure that you're coming to it from the place of, well, I must be giving. I see the value in giving. I see what my life could be like if I woke up in the morning and I went to bed at night, and between morning and night, I changed people's lives. I did something that was me giving to others at my job, in my home, on the whatever it was. You don't solve this issue by starting in the world of, but I don't want to be taken advantage of. You solve this issue by taking your giving and pushing it. And pushing it. And as you push it to a place where you're like unsure, then when you lean into giving, do you go, well, is this too much? People don't even get started because they're like, well, if I start here, then how do I know? They haven't even given yet, and they're already like worried about like what happens if. By the way, this is how we do everything in life. You're thinking about dieting, and as you think about dieting, you're like, well, in 2 weeks I'm going on vacation, so I'll be on vacation. I won't be able to make my meals in the morning. So like, you know what? Why start it now? Because in 2 weeks I'm gonna be away for a day. So you know what? I'll wait till 2 weeks and I'm coming home. Then you come home. Like, the truth is, it's almost holiday season. I should wait for the holidays and summertime. I have to go away for the summertime, and then it's early in the year, and then it's winter time. I'm not gonna do it right. You ever have that? I should really call this person, but I know it's gonna be hard to call them. But tomorrow, and they're away, and I call, and maybe I'll do it later, and I'll do it next week, and anytime we do anything that's hard, anytime we do anything that's meaningful, anytime we do anything that's valuable, the stance we take is we see like down the road and go, well, if it's not going to work out perfectly, then why even start? It's the exact opposite approach. The approach is, let me just do it today. Let me push myself a little bit more today. And if I can push myself a little bit more today, I will learn something new. I'll have visibility down the road. So in a week and a half from now, before I get on the plane to go away, I'll be able to figure out what to do. And if I got to take a day off, I'll take a day off. But I'd rather have a week and a half of good stuff. When you're living in the world of giving and you're already thinking about like what I'm going to take advantage of, the question is, unless you're in a very specific scenario of how that works, you're not even sure if you're even getting there or not. What are we worried about? We can be giving with our mouths. We worried about what's going to happen if we give people compliments. What's going to happen then? What's going to happen if we start to push ourselves into the world of where when I wake up in the morning, I look at scenarios and go, how can I be giving in this scenario? What's going to happen if I go through my day, and as I go through my day, I'm checking in my own mind and journaling, in this scenario, what would be the high road? And what would be the consequence of the high road? I had a dispute with somebody, and it's a matter of a few dollars. What's the dispute here? How much are we talking about? What's the consequence of me being able to go above, and how much is it going to cost me? We get nervous to be taken advantage of. We get nervous about the people around us without having a real accounting of what that looks like. What happens if you show up to someone something and they don't come to yours? What happens if you give somebody a happy birthday card and they don't give one to yours? What happens if you say that you appreciate somebody and they don't respond back? What happens? What happens? What happens if you go somewhere and are gracious and you don't get responded back? What happens? They lose respect for you? You lose your job? What happens if you wake up in the morning and try to do a job for your boss and he doesn't appreciate it? What happens? So the first time, the second time, what happens? So when you hit the wall and you're stuck and you go, well, if I keep on doing it, this is what happens. Now you have a calculation to make. Okay, now we're getting there. We're going to get there. But I don't want to get there too quickly because we lose half the road. We're going to get there. We're going to get through it. I don't want to be like, well, what happens then? I got it. We're going to get there. But I want to take a minute for us to understand this, that so much of what we restrain ourselves from doing is in anticipation of someone taking advantage of, when the truth is, we haven't even gotten there yet. We haven't even walked down that road yet. We haven't even been further along in being a giver and saying, well, what happens if that happens? Well, I don't know. It's still the right thing to do. And I go to bed and I know I did the right thing. And whatever it cost me, whatever little time it cost me, it was right. And I'd so much rather be right and be gracious than be transactional. So what happens? I got to find out. I got to journal it. I got to think about it. Did I get disadvantaged for this? Did I get hit by this? Is this going to cause me some negative, or am I just changing how people see the world because I'm role modeling what goodness looks like? If I walk in and people are constantly trying to show off and I just listen and tell someone how great they are and I don't put in my 2 cents in showing off, what happens? Do they think less of me? Or am I just creating some exposure to somebody about what it's like to be humble? What happens if I give somebody a gift? Now, you're supposed to tell someone you give somebody a gift. You don't have to hide everything. You don't got to also stick it in their face. But you can mention to someone that you're doing something for them. But what happens if you do that for them and they don't respond back? Was it wrong to do it for them? Was it right? Well, if it's right, do I need them to respond back? How many people we have in this world that give and give and give and give? They change humanity. They change humanity. Are they worse off? Because they go to bed at night and they go like, I gave more than I got. They walk into situations and they're thinking to themselves, how do I make this better? Even if the person around doesn't pay it back to me in return, I don't count my chips. We can't get to the world of what happens if until we recognize, and like we have to think about this today. This isn't like something that we just sort of like hear. We got to let it, that we recognize that the highest use of our life in this world is being a giver. That's what it means. Giving. It's not easy. It's great. Great isn't easy, because if it was, everyone would be great. Wouldn't it be great then? The idea that our stance, and let me say it like this, our self-interested stance for our ability to be who we're supposed to be is in being in the giving position. That's how we go into things. There was a lot more to talk about. We're just beginning this process, as I can see from the chatter. We're not done yet. But we can't possibly try to solve this if we're coming at it from a transaction. If we look at it like, okay, I'll give, but if we're ready in the game of like, but what if they take advantage of me? If we're ready down the road of like this, we're not giving. We have to have our hands out. We have to be willing to be givers. And once we're willing to be givers, then when we start to lean into giving and we start to be vulnerable more, then we can only then assess the impact of what happens if we give too much. All right, we'll continue this. All right, everybody. Have an incredible day. With God's help, we can't wait to see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.